So, welcome to online video lecture for the subject electrical machines 2. So, today I would like to start the second part of the starting and speed control of induction motors. So, in the earlier sessions, we have seen the plugging methods and the braking with the DC current. So, in that, we will see the next session, that is a continuous of that. Next, coming to the abnormal conditions. Okay. So abnormal motor operation may be due to internal problems. So that is the short circuit in the stator, and there is the overheating of the bearings, etc., or to the external conditions. So whereas in the power system, if you consider just for analysis, we consider the power systems, there are different cases are there. Okay, what leads to abnormal? So abnormal in the sense it is not in our satisfactory operation. Okay, so it is not in a normal mode of operation. So if we consider, suppose if the voltage and frequency should be constant, that is our criteria there. If those are getting deviated, okay, or those voltages are continuously varying, it is not stable there, so it leads to some abnormal. Okay, next if we consider the speed, okay, coming to the any drives there, if the speed is not constant, so then we can treat it as an abnormal conditions. Okay, likewise, so based upon our the parameter, okay, so which parameters, either it may be voltage, frequency, efficiency, the power factor, or related to that, or interrelated to all these things, so anything it may matters. Okay, so coming to the induction motors, so what leads to abnormal in the sense, so there may be chances of short circuits in the stator, overheating of the bearings. So short circuit in the sense any between the three phases, so there may be chances of short circuits. Okay, so because of any failures. Next, overheating. So overheating in the sense, normally there exists some temperature in the motor under running operation. Okay, uh, uh, you know that very well, that because of the I square R losses, either from the stator side and the rotor side, so the both the parts, there exist the losses. Okay, so it may be gets exceeded. Okay, so those losses may get exceeded. So because of the rise in temperature, what happens, the windings may get damaged, or the if we continue with that rise in temperatures without providing any proper cooling, so what happens, these windings or span gets reduced. Okay, so the cause may be either from different ends, so that is from internal or external. So at this what are the causes of this abnormal, and how these induction motors are going to be performed, we'll see. Okay, one by one. So coming to the external problems, so what may be caused in the sense, external problems may be caused by any of the following. Let us discuss one by one today, and that is mechanical overload, supply voltage changes, single phasing, and frequency changes. So these can be considered as an external problems in an induction motor. Okay, so let us see how with these problems, how the induction motor is performing. Okay, we'll see one by one. So we will examine the nature of this problem in the section that follow. So according to the national standards, a motor shall operate satisfactorily on any voltage within plus or minus 10% of the nominal voltage, and for any frequency within plus or minus 5% of the nominal frequency. See, a small correction is that this data is taken as per the textbook, but now the standards are varied. Changed there. Okay, so now the permissible voltage levels is plus or minus 5%. Okay, coming to the frequency, it is plus or minus 0.5 hertz. Okay, so these are the standards as per the at the time of the book publishing there, but now the standards have been changed. So standards in the sense, either it is taken from the IEEE standards, so certain components, certain parameters, they'll be taken from IEC standards, likewise. Okay, so these standards are taken from the either IEEE or IEC, likewise. Okay, certain standards are there. According to that, they have given this number. Okay, so that is plus or minus 10% and plus or minus 5%, that is for voltage and frequency respectively. I repeat once again that these these standards are changed now. Okay, so even if in competitive exams also you can see the same parameters, but it is not happening right now. So it is plus or minus 5% voltage variations is accepted, and plus or minus 0.5 hertz. Okay, So these are the variations right now as per the standards. Okay, so right, why we are discussing about these standards in the sense we need to follow that. So we need to cross check with that. If the machine is in these standards, if it is running in within these limitations, so there is no problem at all. So we can treat it as a normal operation mode. Okay, so there will be some I mean, these are the limitations. Okay, if exceeds these limitations, okay, either this voltage variations are greater than plus or minus 5%, or the frequency variations are plus or minus 0.5 above, hedges. So let us consider if it is gone below 49.5, or if it is exceeded 50.5 hedges. Okay, if we consider the 50 hertz standard frequency, so then we need to bother about. Okay, if it lies between these limitations, means there is no issue at all. The system can withstand, and everything will be fine. Okay, next, if the voltage and frequency both vary, the sum of two percentage changes must not exceed 10%. So that's what I mean to say from the starting of the session. One second. Right. So if the voltage and frequency both vary, the sum of two percentage changes must not exceed 10%. So particularly we are focusing on this voltage and frequency because these two parameters should be constant during the operations. Okay. So the input itself should be constant there. If the input itself is constant, so we can generate the maximum power as well as the system runs in a standard, normal operating mode. Okay, so if there are any variations, so it should not, we have to make sure that it should not exceed 10%. Okay, so that's the case. Next, finally, all motors are designed to operate satisfactorily at altitudes up to 1000 meters above sea level. So before going for this point, I would like to once again remind that what is this 10% in the sense, we can say it as a regulation. Okay, so the I think in the laboratory test also we are going to perform the regulation, voltage regulation there. So this voltage regulation should not exceed 10% in case of these induction motors. So that is the point. Okay, next, so finally all motors are designed to operate satisfactorily at altitudes above 1000 meters above the sea level. Okay, at higher altitudes the temperature may exceed the permissible limits due to the poor cooling afforded by the thinner air. See, if we consider above the sea level in the sense of, suppose if you are operating at the shipyards, or if it is used in the ships and other other transport and transportations. Okay, so in that case, so there exists the temperature because I think you are very well known, for different altitudes the temperature gets varied. Okay, if proper cooling system is not provided for this motors, I mean for these machines, so these external temperatures will also aid with the machine, so that obviously the temperature rise may exist. Okay, suppose if the machine, I mean if the motor is subjected to outside. Okay, so it will aid with the outside temperature. Okay, if it is in properly protected, or if it is a proper cooling system is provided for that, so these temperatures can be reduced so that there may be we can avoid the overheating chances. So that is the case. Okay, so just I have given the one application that if you are using the above the sea level, so that is the range, that is 1000 meters. So there the temperature comes into the action. Okay, next, in case of the mechanical overload, we are well known that these induction motors are connected to the mechanical loads. So finally we are converting the electrical power into the mechanical power, and that by using those mechanical power we are going to connect the load, and we are going to run the machines. Okay, right. So although standard induction motors can develop as much as twice their rated power for short periods, they should not be allowed to run continuously beyond their rated capacity. Okay, so the problem with that mechanical overload itself, what we can say, so if we keep on adding the load to the machine, what happens? The speed gets reduced there, because our criteria is to run the induction motor to run at a rated speed. Okay, if we keep on increasing the loads, what happen? It will reflect on the speed of the machine. Okay, if the speed gets reduced, means what happens? So it draws the huge amount of current, then it always tries to reach the maximum torque, and because with the increase in slip value, what happens? It may enter into the unstable region. So this what we have discussed in the torque speed characteristics, right? And torque slip characteristics also, obviously. Okay, so this may come to the unstable region. So that's what I mean. If my load is increased, okay, then the speed gets reduced and the slip value increases. So then the machine comes into the unstable operation, which is nothing but the abnormal conditions. Okay, so here it is highlighted that um, induction motors can develop as much as their twice the rated power for short periods. So that means if we uh, of course the machine can be overloaded. That depends upon the rating of the machine withstand capacity. Okay, some machines they'll give the rating itself. Means what happens there, it depends upon the open circuit voltage and the short circuit current. Okay, so for a short period of time it can bear the overload, but it cannot be continued for a long period of times, because of the drawbacks. We'll see one by one that. Okay, so because of certain drawbacks we cannot continue for a long period of time, but the motor can withstand for a short period of time because of these overloads. Okay, right. Next point, overloads cause overheating, which deteriorates the insulation and reduce the service life of the motor. So that's what here overheating. There may be chance of overheating. Means because of huge amount of current drawn by the machine. With increase in the load, the speed gets reduced. In order to reach the maximum power, what happens? It draws the huge amount of current there. So with increase in current, what happens? The power deliver. I mean, the power generated in the rotor part. What is that? It is I square R. Okay, so which is nothing but the heat losses. So it is going to be increased. So if the heat is getting, I mean, if the temperature rises, means what happens? The windings may get damaged. So obviously before that, the insulation. So what is the insulation there? So of course we might be using the varnish. Okay, so some other insulation parts. So all these gets 1 second. Right. So insulation gets failed because the insulation completely depends upon the over voltage chance. I mean, it depends upon the operating voltage there. Okay, if the current value is exceeding and if the voltage values also exceeds, means so what happens? The insulation may come into the breakdown and there may be chance of insulation failure. If the insulation is failed, means what happens? All the windings get short circuited. Okay, so that is the situation, and they reduce the life service life in the sense, if of course uh, if there is overheating, means immediately the windings may not get damaged. But if we continue with this overheating, means the span of the coil also gets reduced. So that's what it means. Next, in practice, the overload causes the thermal overload relays in the starter box to trip, bringing the motor to a stop before its temperature gets too high. So with the help of the relays, so as we have seen, especially if we consider in our daily household appliances, there we are going to see the stabilizers. I mean the voltage stabilizers we are going to use for the any appliance. For example, refrigerators, TVs, I mean televisions. So refrigerators, washing machine, not for washing machines. So for some other appliances, we are going to use the stabilizers. What is the function of the stabilizers? If there are any variations in the line, especially the voltage variation, obviously it is going to protect the equipment with the relay operation. So that the equipment is protected there. So if there are any variations in the line. So similarly here also for the machine, I mean the induction motor. So with the help of the relays, we are going to perform the, I mean the on and off operation, so that the motor can be protected based upon the temperature rise. Okay, so it senses the temperature, and obviously if the temperature is getting exceeded, so with the help of the relay we are going to stop the supply and we are going to protect the machine. So there are certain methods are there. Immediately it cannot be turned off. It may leads to a severe damage in the plant or any other system. Okay, or any other process units. So there are certain standards are there. I mean certain methods are there. Just for our analysis, we are mentioning that these relays are used to protect the machine if they exceed the temperatures. So like similar to our transformers, there we are using the Buchholz relay, right? So likewise here also certain types of relays are used so that the machineries get protected. Next, some drip proof motors are designed to carry a continuous overload of 15%. So drip proof in the sense, if we are, I mean, if we are submerged there. So especially if we go for coolers. So coolers in the sense in the water itself, we are going to measure some type of motors there. Okay. So those type of machines have the overload capacity of 15%. Okay. So suppose 100% is our final range. So additionally for the 15% it can withstand. Okay. So overload we can do up to 15%. Okay. Of its final voltage there. Okay. I mean, sorry, up to the final rating of the machine. Okay, either if we consider the, I mean, the current, so maximum amount of current there, or through the voltage also we can overload. Okay, next, this overload capacity is shown on the nameplate by the service factor, so that is 1.15. So that's what I mean. If you want to, if they have given that 15%, so obviously it has to be mentioned on the nameplate of the machine. So this also we have seen in the laboratory, that machines laboratory, that every nameplate we can go through that. So what is the operating voltage? What is the operating current? I mean maximum load current. Okay. So and what is the rating of the machine? So likewise, it also has to be displayed on the machine. So what is the overload capacity? Beyond that, we should not exceed. It should not exceed that. Next, so with the when we are performing this overload capacity, what happens? Obviously, there is a rise in temperature also. So for that also they have given certain value. So look at that. The allowable temperature rise in the is then 10 degrees centigrade, higher than that permitted for droop-proof motors operating at normal mode. 1 second. Okay. Okay. Oh, so the temperature is also they have extended up to 10 degrees centigrade than the normal temperature. So when we are performing this overload cases. Next, during emergencies, a drip proof motor can be made to carry overloads as much as 125% as long as supplementary external ventilation is provided. Okay, so during emergencies, in the sense if this type of motors, that is the drip proof motors, so they can overload up to 125%. Okay, so along with ventilation, in the sense the cooling methods. So by providing sufficient cooling methods for the machine, then we can go for the additional loading of the machine. Okay, so there may be certain emergency cases will be there. So we need, it has to be done, overloaded there, similar to our power system. Okay, so even though if we are the power is delivered to a maximum extent, so maximum power is delivered, so there will be certain reserving capacity. Okay, likewise, in extreme cases, it will be coming to action. So likewise, here also for the machine. So if you want to perform an overload case, so we need to follow certain measures. So in that, one of the measure is that proper ventilation. So that means it gives we need to perform proper cooling. Okay, otherwise there may be rise of temperature and it leads to additional damage. This is not recommended for long periods because even if the external frame is cool, the temperature of the windings may get excessive. So that's what the case. So we need to perform this overload only for a short period of time. So that is the extreme case we can perform, but it cannot be continued. So likewise in our power system also, so the maximum demand cannot be in 24 hours for a short period of time. I mean for a certain duration of time only. So we are going to generate the maximum power. So that depends upon the, I mean the full forecasting there. So coming to the machines also, we need to perform for a short period of time this overloading. Of course, even though we have provided the cooling methods, okay, even though if we have reduced the temperature in the windings, but uh, this may get overheat. I mean these windings may span may get reduced because of this overloading capacity, and it cannot be recommended for a long periods. So that is the case. Next, coming to the line voltage changes. The most important consequence of line voltage change is its effect upon the torque speed curve of the motor. So before discussing about the voltage changes, so we must know the relation. So what is the relation between the voltage and the torque? So as we have seen from the earlier sessions, torque T is proportional to V square. Okay, so actually it is E2 square. So since E2 is depending on E1, and this E1 is depending on V, so that is the supply voltage. So thereby we can conclude that T is proportional to V square. So this is the obtained from the torque speed curve there. Okay. So if there are any changes in the voltage, so how the torque is going to be respond, how the torque is going to respond, we'll see. In effect, the torque at any speed is proportional to the square of the applied voltage. Okay, so this we have seen, T is proportional to V square there. Thus, if the stator voltage decreases by 10%, the torque at every speed will drop by approximately 20%. So if we are going to reduce the voltage around 10%, why we have to reduce the voltage? So earlier session and the same, that is in the part one, we have seen that. So in order to reduce the sudden reduction of voltage in the line, especially if we are connected to the transmission line, these induction motors, what happens, we are going to start these machines with some reduced voltage. So that concept we have discussed in the part one there. Okay, in the same starting and speed control of induction motors. So if we consider the same situation here, if you want to start the machine by reducing the voltage, okay, so keeping in mind of the to maintain the stability, or to maintain the to reduce the any other effects. Okay, so because of the high starting torque, if we apply any high inertial loads, obviously we need to start the machine with some reduced voltage. Okay, so what happens if the situation happens, the torque is also reduced approximately to 20%. If we are applying on 10% in the sense, it will lead to 20% reduction torque. So based upon the relation there, so that is T is proportional to V square there. So a line voltage drop is often produced during startup. So due to the heavy starting current drawn from the line. So that's what the case. If we connected to the line, okay, any transmission line, if we are connecting this induction motor, because of the it's a high starting torque, what happens? There may be chance of sudden, draw of heavy currents. Okay, so that situation should not be happened, and for that we are going to perform this reduced voltage method. Okay, as a result of the lower voltage, the starting torque may much less than its rated value. So that is the drawback there. If you perform the lower voltage method, obviously the torque is also getting reduced than its rated value. On the other hand, if the line voltage is too high, when the motor is running, the flux per pole will be above normal. So similarly, of course, we have discussed in the one side. Coming to the other part, if the voltage is too high, so what happens? If that obviously, since T is proportional to V square, if the voltage is exceeding, means obviously the torque is also responding twice. Okay, what happens if the voltage is exceeded means, so the flux per pole, in the sense the rotating magnetic field which is created in the stator, which is linked with the rotor, is also getting exceeded. So maximum amount of EMF is also induced in the rotor, that is E2 is also exceeding that. Okay, so that should not be happen. For motors running at full load, this increases both the iron losses and the magnetizing current, with the result that the temperature increases slightly and the power factor is slightly reduced. So look at that, with the increase in the, if suppose it is performing at full load, so full load in the sense there the maximum torque is obtained there. So beyond that, if we exceed, means what happens? It may comes to the unstable region. Okay, and during this process, there may be chance of not chance, definitely there will be increase in the iron losses and the magnetizing. So magnetizing current, in the sense, this is the no load parameter. So at the equivalent circuit, at the working principle, we have discussed that. So what is the importance of the magnetizing current there in the induction motor? So that is the IM. Okay, so which is flowing through the XM, okay, or X naught. Okay, so that is the case. It leads to additional losses in the machine, and obviously the power factor is gets reduced. So this leads to loss in efficiency. Okay, if the three phase voltages are unbalanced, they can produce a serious unbalance on the three line currents. If suppose the input which we are feeding to the induction motor is of unbalanced case, unbalanced in the sense, how can you define in the sense, the continuous variations in the magnitude as well as the time period. Okay, so since we are generating the AC supply there, if the magnitudes are not constant, so that means the pure sinusoidal wave is not generated, the voltage is not constant and the frequency is not constant, means obviously these will be carried to the stator winding. So what happens there? This condition increases the stator and rotor losses, yielding a high temperature. So from this we can state that if the input itself is not balanced, okay, so there may be chance of additional losses in the machine, which leads to abnormal operation. Okay, a voltage unbalance of as little as 3.5% can cause the temperature to increase 15 degrees. So as per the different testing methods they have given that, so if the rise in temperature is 3.5%, okay, sorry, if the voltage unbalance is 3.5%, okay, so what is the rise in temperature? 15 degrees. Okay, so from this you can think about if there are increase in the voltage unbalance, means obviously the temperature rise also gets exceeded. Okay, next, the utility company should be notified whenever the face-to-face line voltage differ by more than 2%. So suppose they have given 3.5 increase in voltage unbalance. So what happens? 15 degrees temperature is raised there. So based upon this, they are going to fix that between two phases, if the unbalance is exceeding 2%. So how they can analyze means with the help of the power quality analyzers and all other measuring equipments, they are going to measure if the difference between the two phases is exceeding 2%. So obviously they need to take the preventive action. Okay, so likewise, so look at here, we'll discuss the single phase and the three phase torque speed characteristics here. Typical torque speed curves when a three phase squirrel cage motor operates normally and when it operates on single phase. Okay, so we'll see when we are discussing about the single phase. Okay, right. So next, coming to the single phasing, if one line of a three phase line is accidentally opened or if a fuse blows, okay, so while the three phase motor is running, the machine will continue to run as a single phase motor. So we know that three winding is there. If any of the phase is accidentally opened or it may get isolated or something, because of any cause one of the phase is opened there, so then how it is functioning is it is fed with a two phase supply. Okay, so single phase in the sense two conductors will be there, so that is between two phases the voltage is fed to the machine. Okay, so at that situation how it is going to perform is it acts as a single phase motor. Okay, so single phase in the sense from the two conductors are going to supply this motor. Okay, the current drawn from the remaining two lines will almost double and the motor will begin to overheat. Okay, so so that is the case there. If one of the phase is removed means, so because of this magnetic effect, I mean rotating magnetic field, what happens, it tries to draw the huge amount of current. Okay, so that current is uh, twice of the normal rated current. So you just think about that. If we are exceeding the rated current means definitely the motor is in a dangerous case. Okay, so definitely it will affect on the windings. Okay, so that is the case. If one of the conductor is removed, so it may leads to overcurrent. Okay, so then it may leads to overheat, so which comes under the abnormal operation. The thermal relays protecting the motor will eventually trip the circuit breaker, thereby disconnecting the motor from the line. Okay, so because of this thermal relays, so what I said you before, so they'll having certain benchmark. Okay, so if the temperature is exceeding, so obviously with the help of these protecting relays they are going to isolate the circuit there with the help of the circuit breaker, and obviously the machine is protected. Okay, next, the torque speed curve is seriously affected when a three-phase motor operates on single phase. Okay, so the breakdown torque decreases to about 40% of its original value, and the motor develops no starting torque at all. Okay, so the breakdown torque in the sense from this figure we can analyze. So just we will recall once again. So what is the torque speed characteristics here? Okay, so this is the breakdown torque. So just forget about this single phase here, single phase operation. Okay, so just forget about this and we'll discuss here. So this is the rise in torque value. So to at particular slip or at particular speed, it has reached the maximum torque. Okay, so after that, what happens if it is reaching the synchronous speed? So that should not happen there. Definitely, this speed of the rotor should be less than the synchronous speed, that is which is happening at the stator. Okay, so this is the starting condition and this is the standstill condition. So both case should not be happen. Okay, so with increase in speed, at particular slip value, it reaches the maximum torque. So that is the breakdown torque. So if it exceeds, what happens? So it comes to the unstable region. The same case, okay, if one of the conductors, one of the conductor is isolated. Okay, one of the conductor is removed there because of any cause. Only two conductors are supplying the power to the machine. That is a three-phase induction motor. Then it can be treated as a single-phase operation. Okay, so then what is the case? So look at here. The torque has been. This is the breakdown torque. So it has fallen up to 40%. So that's what it means. The breakdown torque decreases to 40% of its original value. So this is the reduction in torque. Suddenly it has fallen. Okay. Next, and the motor develops no starting torque at all. So suddenly, if the torque gets reduced, means what happens? So all we need is to run the machine at the rated speed. Okay. So if the torque has been reduced, means what happens? So it tries to reach the maximum torque. Okay, so always the motor never knows whether it is supplied with three phase or two phase and all. Just it depends upon the load there. Okay, so because of the load connected, it tries to reach the rated speed, and in this process it draws the huge amount of current. Okay, to meet the maximum torque. Okay, so this is the case. So that is how we can treat it as a single phase motoring. Okay, so this is the abnormal condition. Okay, next, consequently, so one second. Yes. Consequently, a fully loaded three-phase motor may consequently a fully loaded three-phase motor may simply stop if one of its line is suddenly removed. Okay. So the resulting locked rotor current is about 90% of the normal three-phase line current. So this is the locked rotor in the case, as I said you before. So it is reaching the maximum there. So look at here. So it is almost reaching the synchronous speed. So what is that condition there? Standstill condition. Okay. So there the rotor is going to be locked there. If we are performing the, if we are giving the supply under the locked rotor, means what happens? Huge amount of current will be drawn. Okay. So that's what here. So it is about 90% of the normal three-phase line current. Okay. So it is reaching the 90% of the rated current there. It is therefore large enough to trip the circuit breaker or to blow the fuses. Okay, so as per the situation here, so based upon the frequency and based upon the torque or based upon the temperature rise and based upon the speed there, so we can perform the a circuit breaker operation there, so that, or we can blow. It can there may be chance of fuse blow off. Okay, because the fuse is depending upon the rated current. If the current gets exceeded, means the fuse gets blows off. Okay, it is blown there. So this is how we are going to protect the machine. So above figure shows the typical torque sphere curve of a three-phase motor when it runs normally and when it's single phasing. So as I said you before, so this is the three-phase induction motor. When one of the phase is removed, so it acts as a single phase motoring. And what is the torque condition there? So what about the current drawn at this condition? Whether the motor, whether the rotor rotates or not, all these things we have discussed. Okay. So note that the curves follow each other closely until the torque approaches the single phase breakdown torque. So this is the single phase breakdown torque. It has been suddenly fallen here. Okay. Right. Next, coming to the last method, the frequency variation. So, okay. Next, important frequency changes never take place on a large distribution system except during a major disturbance. See, all this problem which we have discussed up to now, so that is either single phasing or overload conditions, everything, the possibility is very high. Okay, so we can see most oftenly. But coming to the frequency variation, it cannot be happened. It is happened rarely there. Okay, so as we they have discussed here, because of any major disturbances. Okay, so it is occur rarely. The frequency variations are only the voltage variations, most oftenly we are going to see. Okay, next, of course, this is also comes under the external faults, and if there are frequency variations in the line, means what happens? It comes under the abnormal operation. However, the frequency may vary significantly on isolated systems where electrical energy is generated by diesel engines or gas turbines. Okay, so the frequency may significantly on isolated systems where the electrical generated is in the sense this comes under the source end. Okay, so up to now we are bothered about the induction motor internal performances with the external disturbances. Okay, with any external disturbances, how this induction motor is performing and what action is taken, we have seen. If we consider the frequency variations, means internally it cannot happen. Okay, there are very less cases. I mean, very rare cases if there are any frequency variations in the machine itself. Coming to the, if we consider the transformer also, the input, I mean the transfer of energy there is done with the help of course the mutual induction. uh, the frequency variations are not there, so the frequencies remain constant there. So that is our constraint, so that is our condition there. The frequency is constant and only the voltage levels are changed there. Okay, so coming to the induction motor also, so internal frequency variations are not happen unless and until if there is any extreme case. Okay, so but when this frequency variation occurs, means it is from source end. So from where we are getting the power, in the sense if we are performing any if we are using any diesel engines or any other gas turbines or any renewable sources, I mean any other thermal power plant, from there if there are any variations, means it will be carried directly to the motors. Okay, as we have seen before example that in many transmission lines we are going to conduct these induction motors. Okay, if there are any variations in the line, it will be injected to the induction motors. Okay, so that is the case. The emergency power supply in a hospital, the electrical system on a ship, and the generators in a lumber camp are examples of this type of supply. Okay, so if it is running under extreme cases, suppose let us consider in our campus itself, uh, if there is no grid power. Okay, if we are depending upon the solar power, so what happens due to the climatic changes, due to the temperature variations, so what happens, there will be changes in the frequency. Of course it is it is in the permissible range. Suppose if it is getting exceeded, if it is not running in our limitations, what happens, those frequency variations will be carried to these machines. Okay, so they have given the examples that in the hospitals, so because of the battery backup. Okay, so with the help of any UPS systems, they are going to generate the from DC to AC. So meanwhile there will be chances of frequency variations because of the inverter action. Okay, next on ships, so on the next on the generators in lumber camp, in the sense if they are traveling for a long way, there is a long way traveling. Okay, so in that particular case they are going to use the machines. Okay, likewise, so in those cases there may be chances of this. So that means uh, from the source itself there may be chance of frequency variations which are injected to the machines. Okay, here the machine is not creating any frequency variations, because this is occurred because of the source. Okay, the most important consequence of a frequency change is the resulting change in motor speed. Okay, if the frequency drops by 5%, the motor speed drops by 5%. Okay, because what is the relation? Ns equal to 120 f by p. The synchronous speed is directly proportional to the frequency. If there are frequency I mean reduction, means it is also related to the speed there. Okay, ns is directly proportional to f. Okay, that is the case. Next, machine tools and other motor driven equipment imported from countries where the frequency is 50 hertz may cause problems when they are connected to 60 hertz. See, you know that our Indian standard frequency is 50 hertz, right? So whereas coming to other countries, they will be following the standard of 60 hertz. Only these two cases exist. that is 50 hertz, and the other is the 60 hertz. Based upon this standard, the machine is going to be designed. Okay, so we cannot connect this, interconnect this machines there. Suppose if the machine standard frequency is 50, so we cannot connect it to a 68 supply. Okay, so it may leads to frequency variations. So especially why this situation occurs means, if we enter into the some other countries, there if we are using the power supply means, so this is one of the important factor. Okay, if we want to use our appliances in other countries means, it is not possible. Suppose let us consider any chargers or any adapters, okay, or any other trimming devices. So anything if we consider, this the frequency is 60 hertz there, so it cannot be given to our appliances, because there may be frequency variations and it leads to overheating. Okay, so that is the uh, oftenly we are going to see this. Okay, so where the country, based upon the rating of the machine, we need to give the supply. Okay, everything runs 20% faster than normal, and this may not be acceptable in some applications. Okay, if we continue to give the supply there, which is of running at 60 hertz, but actually we are in need of 50 hertz, so there may be chance of increase in speed, so 20% faster than normal. So that should not be happen in case of the industries, especially if there are any frequency variations. Next, in such cases, we either have to gear down the motor speed or supply an expensive auxiliary 50 hertz source. Okay, so if suppose, even though if you are connected to the 60 hertz, that means out of standard, out of the operating range. So what happens, we need to provide an alternate method, so that is a gear down. So gear down in the sense, by using any flywheels, we are going to perform the speed reduction. And of course, we need to use some other auxiliary, that means a secondary source, which is of quite expensive. Okay, so variable frequency drives means it is of very quite expensive there. Okay, next, a 50 hertz motor operated well on a 60 hertz line, but its terminal voltage should be raised to 6 by 5th or 120% of the nameplate rating. Okay, so if you want to perform the, if you want to utilize the line of 60 hertz, so we need to increase the voltage. So what is the increase in voltage? It is 120%. So 20% extra we need to increase the voltage. So I think you are familiar that if we are increasing the voltage means what happens, the torque is also getting increased. So that should not be happen. Okay, so the new breakdown torque is less than equal to the original breakdown torque, and the starting torque is only slightly reduced. Okay, so this affects on the breakdown torque. Okay, so obviously the power factor, efficiency, and the temperature remains satisfactory. So satisfactory in the sense, if we are able to take the measures there. Okay, so how means, by reducing the starting voltage. Okay, so if you want to connect the 60 hertz supply, so we can reduce the voltage levels below that. So what we are actually performing, because we can extend up to 120%. Okay, so if you want to perform the a normal mode of operation means, again we have to reduce the voltage. Okay, the right, a 60 hertz motor can also operate on 50 hertz line, but its terminal voltage should be reduced to 5 by 6 or 83% of its nameplate value. Okay, so likewise what we have discussed from 50 hertz motor connected to 60 hertz, now it is vice versa. If 60 hertz motor has to be operated at 50 hertz, so what should be the voltage supplied means 83% of the final value. Okay, next, the breakdown torque and the starting torque are then about the same as before, and the power factor, efficiency, and temperature range remain satisfactory. So if we are able to balance this voltage and frequency, everything will be running under satisfactory operation. That is the frequency, sorry, that is the power factor, efficiency, and the temperature rise. Okay, that's all about so this abnormal conditions. That is the mechanical overload, single phasing. Okay, uh, next, what is that? Frequency variations and line voltage changes. So that's all about the speed control of starting and speed control of induction motors. So hope you have understood this session. So thank you.